In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your tax rules in the system. Now, I am by no means a tax expert, and I definitely don't know all of the different tax laws around the entire world, but I'm going to show you how to set it up from a technical standpoint here within the system. So what we're going to do is navigate over to our setup by clicking on setup down here on the bottom left-hand side. Then we're going to come to e-commerce, and then we're going to come to tax rules. And then we can set up our first tax rule. So to do that, we're just going to click add your first tax rule. You're then going to give it a name. So this is going to be relevant to the tax rule that you are creating. I'm going to go ahead and call this UK VAT. Then I'm going to select the specific country that this tax rule is going to apply to. And in this case, it is the United Kingdom. There we go. Then I'm going to leave the regions as all for now. Then I can use either a flat rate. So if I'm setting this up manually, I can use a flat rate tax calculation. Or if this is for a country that has far more complicated tax rules like the United States, you could use an integration. So I'm just going to stick with a flat rate for now, and I'm going to make that flat rate 20%. And then it is enabled as well, and I'm going to hit save. So now I have my United Kingdom tax rule. And if I navigate back here, you'll see that I now have a tax rule dedicated to a specific country. So you can set up your tax rules country by country. So I'm going to click back into this one, and I want to add a secondary tax rule. And let's say that this is because I have a specific product that the 20% tax rate doesn't apply to. And instead we have a 5% tax rule that applies to one specific product in our catalog. So I'm going to navigate back here to adding a tax rule on the top right-hand side. And this one I'm going to call special VAT. And I can't change my country because this is a new tax rule within my United Kingdom tax rule set. So that cannot be changed. I then want to, again, leave this as a flat rate. I'm going to make this 5% and I'm going to hit save. So now I have these two tax rules, but they're pretty much the same. There's a bit of a conflict here because there's nothing differentiating when the UK VAT versus the special VAT should be applied. So I'm going to click into my special VAT, and you'll see that I can then add product variants. So I can add specific products that I want this specific tax rule to apply to. So to do that, I'm going to click on add product variant over here. And then I'm going to select which of my products I want this particular tax rule to apply to. So I can say that this is going to apply to maybe my dog box subscription, and then I can hit save. So now anytime someone purchases the dog box subscription, the 5% tax rate is going to apply instead of the 20% general tax rate that applies to everything else. But now let's make things even more complicated. Let's say that you have regions within the country that have a different tax rule. And so instead of the 20% tax rule, some regions may have a 30% tax. And so we need to specify that again within the system. And to do that, I'm going to add a new tax rule. And this one I'm going to call region VAT. And then here within my region settings, I'm going to select the specific region that this tax rule applies to. So I'm going to select my region. I'm just going to go with Aberdeen City. And this is going to be a 30% tax rule. And then I'm going to hit save. So now I've created that regional tax rule for Aberdeen City. But now there is another thing that you'll notice over here, that we have our default settings, our shipping settings, our surcharge settings as well. And in order to change any of these, we're going to want to click into that tax rule and come down here to the advanced settings on the bottom right-hand side. And then you can change whether or not this is a default tax rule, whether or not this applies to shipping, and whether or not this applies to surcharges as well. So you can decide which of these it applies to. So if you don't want your shipping to be included in the tax, you would disable this setting. The same goes for your surcharges as well. If you want VAT to be applied to your surcharges, then you would enable this setting. And whether or not you want this to be the default tax setting, that is where you will change this. This is our special VAT, so we obviously don't want it to be our default tax rule, but those are settings here that you can change. So just for the sake of this example, I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to show you now that those settings have been enabled. But you'll see that now that I have changed those settings, my general tax rule over here does not have those settings applied. So if I come in here and I go to my advanced settings and I say, yes, this applies to the shipping and surcharges, and I hit save, it will take those away from my special VAT as well. So that is how you can also manage your tax rules according to your shipping and surcharges as well. So that is how you can go about setting up your tax rules here within the system. In the next video, I am going to show you how to set up payment methods so that users can purchase your products. I'll see you there.